Russia just destroyed the last working gas station on one of Ukraine's most important military supply roads. This isn't random destruction. It's a deliberate campaign, and it mirrors almost exactly what Ukraine has been doing to Russian fuel infrastructure for months. Russian forces have now destroyed every gas station along the highway connecting Kharkiv and Poltava, with the final one struck in the town of Valky, just 50 kilometers from Kharkiv, on July 26th. According to Kharkiv Oblast Council member Oleksandr Skorik, roughly 140 kilometers of this route, part of the pan-European E40 highway, no longer has a single functioning fuel stop. Skorik didn't mince words about the scale of it, saying the situation with gas stations is becoming more critical every day, and urging anyone traveling this stretch to carry extra fuel with them, since there's nowhere left to refill along the way. This particular highway isn't just a regional inconvenience, it's one of only two main logistics routes running from Kyiv to frontline areas in eastern Ukraine, meaning Russia isn't just making a daily commute harder for civilians, it's targeting a road that Ukraine's own military and support convoys rely on to reach the fighting in the east. And Valky wasn't an isolated strike. According to Skorik, roughly 200 gas stations have now been destroyed by Russian attacks across all of Ukraine, with about 80 of those in Kharkiv Oblast alone. That's a systematic pattern, not a scattering of unlucky hits. An entire category of civilian infrastructure being deliberately picked apart, region by region. Ukraine's Military Intelligence Directorate, known as HUR, says this fits a pattern it flagged earlier this month. Russia's Rubikon drone unit was reportedly ordered to specifically intensify strikes on civilian gas stations, trucks, buses, and vehicles in Ukraine's border regions. That's a notable detail, a named Russian drone unit, with an apparent standing directive to target fuel and transport infrastructure, not battlefield positions. And here's what makes this genuinely interesting, rather than just another grim statistic. HUR itself describes this as an apparent response to Kyiv's own intensified middle strike operations against Russian energy and oil infrastructure supplying occupied Ukrainian territory. In other words, both sides are now running strikingly similar campaigns against each other, deliberately targeting fuel, trucks, and transport networks rather than only frontline military positions, each one seemingly responding in kind to what the other side started. Not everyone agrees on how severe this has gotten. Kharkiv Oblast Governor Ole Sinihubov pushed back directly on reports that not a single operating gas station remains on the highway, calling that claim inaccurate and insisting there's no fuel shortage in the region. Skorik, the council member who first raised the alarm, actually agrees on that last point too. Despite the destruction, he says there's neither a fuel crisis nor a food crisis in Kharkiv Oblast right now. That's a meaningful contrast with what we've covered happening inside Russia, where refinery strikes have triggered actual rationing and hours-long queues nationwide. Ukraine's more modern, diversified fuel market appears to be absorbing this specific kind of pressure far better than Russia's more centralized refining system has managed to. This gas station campaign was unfolding alongside a genuinely brutal day of violence elsewhere in Ukraine. Russian attacks killed at least 9 civilians and injured 76 more nationwide in the same 24-hour period. In a rare daytime strike, Russian forces hit a supermarket in the northern city of Chernihiv, killing 2 people, including a 10-year-old girl, and injuring 25 more. Governor Vyacheslav Chaus declared a day of mourning in response. Separately, Russian forces struck 45 settlements across Zaporizhzhia Oblast, killing 2 and wounding 13, while a 40-year-old woman was killed in Kharkiv itself, with 22 others injured across the region. So why does a stretch of destroyed gas stations matter as much as any single deadly strike? Because it shows this war has settled into a genuinely symmetrical pattern neither side started alone. Both militaries now running deliberate campaigns against each other's fuel and transport networks, hoping to grind the other down through logistics rather than only through the front line. Ukraine seems to be weathering its version better than Russia is weathering its own, at least for now, and that gap alone might end up mattering more than any single strike we've covered. If breakdowns like this help you understand the war more clearly, a like goes a long way, and subscribing means you'll catch the next one.